Previously on Jonna. After resolving the conflict surrounding Oak and Barrel Brewery, Jonna was forced to return to the place she feared most, Bryn. The city where years of humiliation and pressure taught her to doubt herself before every action. But this time, she endured it. Inside Bryn, Jonna deepened her electromancy studies and left carrying something more important than new spells, a quieter confidence. That change followed her into Manshire, where her true journey as a mage truly began. Inside the bandit fortress, Jonna showed undeniable signs of growth in combat. Her lightning flowed with more purpose. Her positioning became cleaner, and under pressure, her decisions came faster than before. Not mastery, but for the first time, her electromancy no longer felt driven only by fear and survival. Lastly, Jonna investigated the abandoned home of an old herbalist, discovering the man had died long before her arrival, though his medicinal knowledge still remained behind. After completing her first real contract in Manshire, Jonna slowly began to understand the true nature of her strength. Not only her magic, but her mind. For the first time in years, fear no longer controlled every decision she made. The panic still existed, the hesitation too, but now she could balance them, and when necessary, unleash them like a storm against her enemies. Jonna knew this was only the beginning. She was still far from becoming the mage she wanted to be, but the potential was finally impossible to ignore. She also realized the camp could no longer remain a temporary refuge. It needed to become a true base, a place to cook, rest, store supplies, and prepare for the dangerous roads ahead. But improvements required gold, and gold meant new contracts, new dangers, new battles. So Jonna continued forward, discovering herself with every step. As Jonna arrived at Raven Hill, her objective was clear: kill the cult leader. But the moment she stepped near the crypts, old memories returned. She still remembered the undead refusing to fall, despite wounds that should have ended them long ago. Jonna was stronger now, her spells sharper, her mind steadier. But she knew the creatures waiting below would be stronger as well. For a moment, doubt began crawling back into her thoughts. The same hesitation, the same pressure tightening inside her chest. Then, in the middle of combat, Jonna made a decision. A brief surge of lightning ran through her own body. Not enough to harm herself, just enough to send a message. Fear would no longer move her without permission. If the storm existed inside her, then she would be the one controlling where it struck. For the first time in a long while, Jonna smiled. Not simply because the cult leader was dead, but because she could feel herself changing. Little by little, she was learning to control the emotions that once controlled her. The fear, the rage, the pressure buried deep inside her chest. Now, instead of consuming her, those feelings were beginning to flow through her magic like lightning searching for release. And a terrifying thought crossed her mind. What if her trauma had always been connected to her electromancy? If that were true, then the more Jonna understood herself, the more frightening her potential could become. Every humiliation, every cruel word, every moment that tried to break her, all of it transforming into power. A storm born from pain, finally learning how to obey its owner. When Jonna and her caravan companions returned to Manshire to claim the reward, it did not take long for the others to notice something had changed, especially Varen. The frightened mage who once doubted every step she took was now accepting contracts that few people would willingly face. And more importantly, she was beginning to think ahead, what to improve, which jobs to take, how to survive the roads still waiting for them. Without realizing it, Jonna was slowly building a personality of her own, and perhaps for the first time in her life, fate had given her good company. A grumbling old mercenary shaped by experience, and an unbreakable blacksmith always willing to listen while the campfire burned and a mug of beer rested in his hands. Together, little by little, they were becoming more than travelers sharing a road. They were beginning to live like a true caravan. For some reason, whenever the caravan passed near a temple, Daryl always found a moment to stop and pray beside the fire and stone altars. Jonna never considered herself particularly devoted to the gods, but she understood how important it was for Daryl, which was why the praying spot became the camp's next improvement. Beyond offering peace to souls already resting elsewhere, such blessings could also help against the unholy creatures wandering the roads of Aldor. And this time, the contract would lead them to the Chapel of the Guiding Star, a place infested with unholy bloodsuckers, warriors who fed upon the blood of the living to survive and strengthen their abilities. Jonna felt it while fighting. The entire place was drowning in unholy energy. She could sense 4 different presences radiating powerful dark magic, and one of them stood far above the others. Colder, heavier, wrong. If she wanted to survive, the source of that corruption had to be destroyed, no matter the cost. But as expected, this level of unholy magic did not exist within the Academy books Jonna once studied. There were no theories, no safe explanations, which meant only one thing. She would have to survive this nightmare on her own, and become the first person capable of writing about it afterward. The mission was no longer just another contract. Jonna had destroyed one of the altars, and almost immediately the unholy energy spreading through the dungeon weakened slightly. Our mage had finally found the pattern. But it was also easy to understand that each altar would be guarded by a powerful threat protecting it. This meant Jonna would need to take another step forward in her mental growth. Every unholy creature standing in her way would need to fall, without hesitation, without allowing fear to cloud her thoughts. Because if her magic and concentration became consumed by panic inside a place like this, it would be the end of her. Damn rats. Twisted by the unholy magic, even they tried to fight back. Fortunately, Jonna had handled herself well so far. But after destroying every weak altar, the true heart of the curse suddenly concentrated its energy into a single point. Jonna felt the pressure instantly, and something inside her changed. It was not fear, exactly, nor calm. Her body continued moving almost on instinct, as if her mind had stopped fully processing the weight of what surrounded her. Perhaps enduring such overwhelming energy without collapsing under panic had pushed her into a strange mental state. If electromancy truly reflected her inner state, then losing control of herself inside this place could become far more dangerous than any monster waiting ahead. Jonna endured the pressure. Slowly, her mind cleared and her awareness fully returned. And the moment she raised her eyes, she saw it. The source of the corruption. The boss. There was no time to analyze or hesitate. Only react. Only survive. The battle was exhausting, not only because of the energy demanded by every spell. The pressure of the curse itself nearly drove Jonna into madness, but somehow she resisted. It almost felt as if her past traumas had unknowingly prepared her to endure something like this, as if no ordinary person could have walked through this nightmare and remained alive. But Jonna succeeded. Now only one task remained: to remove the relic corrupted by the boss and finally put an end to this nest of bloodsuckers. Mission complete. Jonna had reached the next stage of her growth in an exceptional way. Stronger mentally, greater control over her emotions, and more importantly, she had begun discovering how to use those emotions as a source of magical power. Whenever fear or pressure appeared, Jonna no longer tried to erase them completely. Instead, she controlled them, guided them, and without fully realizing it, she slowly began transforming those emotions into lightning. That was the true lesson this stage of her journey had given her. And beyond that, her new companions, Varen and Daryl, had become pillars of support. Proof that good people still existed in Aldor. People capable of trust. People capable of fairness. But people like that still seemed rare. Jonna came across another problem. A thief had robbed the winery. Something inside her reacted immediately. If someone chose injustice, if someone took what did not belong to them, then she would not ignore it. With that thought in mind, Jonna followed his trail until she found the temporary camp where he was hiding. The man tried to excuse himself, then tried to manipulate her. none of it worked. Not anymore. Jonna no longer bent easily to deception. Now she only responded with certainty. And if he would not understand through words, then her lightning would make him understand what justice was. For Jonna, this task carried more weight than it seemed. It was not about a few bottles of wine. It was about morality itself, and she understood that feeling better than most. Taking something from someone who had earned it through effort or passion was never acceptable. People should not grow used to that kind of behavior. Not in Aldor, not anywhere. And that was the message Jonna wanted to send. And now, Jonna finally decided to rest. After so many dangers without pause, this journey had finally given her a moment to breathe. Little by little, Jonna was learning more about herself, and part of that was also thanks to your support. Every like on her videos makes her feel accompanied, much like the feeling of returning from a dungeon and seeing Varen and Daryl waiting at the camp, first helping her recover from the journey, and later, beside the campfire, listening to every story, every mistake, every fear, every obstacle she managed to overcome. And no matter what happened, they were always there, supporting her.